Okay, so if the angle on this is strange, it's because my tripod thing is broken, and the way that I've got this all like set up is very DIY, which is I can't see myself. I don't know how this is pointing. I don't know how this whole thing will go, to be perfectly honest. I'm not 100% sure. Not to be one of those video people who like talk for like 900 minutes before they actually get to the point. Just want to say that what you are likely perceiving right now in my home as a mess and everything looking terrible and me looking awful, I kept thinking to myself, I should do some more videos. I like doing videos, but you know, okay, maybe on a day when I've put a bra on, maybe a day when I've showered, maybe when the house is like all clean and dusted and all of your shit is organized. And then I realized that I was like, bitch, you would never make a video again. So I was getting high and I was watching some of these videos on the Weird History channel that are like timeline, and they tell you every single thing that happened in a year. You know, like the memorable stuff, obviously. They'd be like forever and ever long. But I thought it would be fun to look at the one from 1980 because that was the year that I was born and react to it and see like how much stuff I knew or what I didn't know. I'll probably learn something. So without further ado, let's take a look at timeline.
The 1980s. It was a totally rad decade that was filled with neon, yuppies, and a whole lot of
Oh my god, so much.
Welcome to Fantasy Island.
Hey!
We're going to talk about the news, culture, sports, and entertainment and all that was weird in the 80s. This is Timeline. We're starting at the beginning with the year 1980.
Yeah.
But before we get moving, be sure to subscribe to the Weird History channel and let us know in the comments below your favorite 80s
I
memory.
have been
Okay
subscribed.
then, are you ready to relive 1980? 5, 6, 7, 8 Schlemiel, Schlemazel, Hassan Pfeffer Incorporated. We're gonna do it now. Coming out of the disco-filled 70s, the U.S. economy was sagging. Americans were being held hostage in Iran, and the minimum wage was $3.10. But this new decade started off with some promise.
Isn't that like what
Gary
waitresses
Larson's
still
The
get
Far
paid?
Side made its debut the day before, on New Year's Eve. The year ahead for 1980 would feature
as old
many
as
new
The
additions and
Far
changes to the
Side.
culture. The world was about to see its first hot pocket, the rise of the Rubik's Cube, and the dawn of a new political era.
We shall seek new friendships, but we shall not do so by breaking our word or casting aside old friends and allies.
This is 1980. The decade wouldn't start off so great for Beatle Paul McCartney when he was arrested January 16th in Japan for marijuana possession.
What do you think about marijuana?
I just want to like take a moment here and comment that 1980 Paul McCartney he wasn't the Beatle that had like the roughest 1980 is what I'm trying to say here. Like, this is small potatoes, I feel like, in comparison. I mean, I know it's not like the bad year Olympics, but anyway, yeah.
It was a big mistake.
McCartney would stay in a Tokyo jail for 9 whole days, and it was January 25th when Paul was finally released, and then quickly deported.
I'd like to say sorry about the mistake there, and hope we can come back sometime and not disappoint you next time, and have a good time.
Staying with the music theme, Pink Floyd's 11th album, The Wall, hit number 1 on the Billboard
Lot of
charts and
great
would go on to sell
things
over 1.2
happened.
million copies in the first 2 months. The album would eventually sell over 30
This
million
music, I'm getting
copies,
down
which
to
made
it.
it the best-selling double album ever. The movie for The Wall wouldn't be released for another 2.5 years, until August 13th, 1982, where at the movies, critics Siskel and Ebert gave the film 2 thumbs up.
The Rams had 2 defensive backs covering Swan and a linebacker blitzing Bradshaw, and still they could not damage the throw or prevent
I misread the
catch.
caption. I misread it as I couldn't damage the crotch.
1980 did ignite what would eventually become a decade-long rivalry of wanting to beat the Soviets at anything. America rose to the challenge at the Winter Olympics in Lake Placid, New York in late February, when the underdog U.S. men's hockey...
Okay, let me tell you a story about a thing that I hate so much that boomers do all the fucking time. So in the 1980s, when like the boomers and the early Gen X were like starting to be like in charge of everything, it got really fucking weird because they ramped up this whole like, Russia's the bad guys and they're so spooky and scary and we're gonna make everything like the Red Scare, and all the fucking movies that we make for kids are like about starting nuclear war or like fighting off like the communists or whatever. And it's so annoying because then when you say, oh yeah, that was like really traumatic for us, you know, the late Gen X and the early millennials, when we like talk about it, there's always like some boomer kicking the door in and going like, well, you should have tried it in the 1960s, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, you're working out your fucking trauma on us and then being like, you can't be traumatized. Obviously, you know, not all boomers. You have to say that because otherwise it's like, not all boomers.
What you talking about, mister?
Well, Arnold, that's because the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan, and President Jimmy Carter declared the USA would not participate in the Summer Olympics, which were being held conveniently in
That was
Moscow
4 days
on
after
July
I was
19th,
born.
1980.
You give me a guitar for
Because I like the way you sing.
He dragged her from radio station to record shop,
don't even know where I am half the time.
from honky-tonk bars to the Grand Ole
Wow.
Opry. Sissy Spacek, Tommy Lee Jones,
I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you.
coal miner's daughter.
Holy shit!
Not playing it.
Look at that! They made the movie about the girl who's basically given away as a child bride to a guy that like rapes her on their wedding night, like, and this chick like rises up above all this shit and like not having a great education and not having a, you know, like I'm very passionate about this fucking movie, right? So like all of this stuff, and then she's pregnant all the time and she's teaching, you know, she's learning guitar and she's like writing songs and stuff, and somehow they make the preview about how her husband drove her around and how I wouldn't be here without you. That's what the trailer for that movie was. Whoa, god damn.
A learning experience, but I enjoy challenges, and it's a challenge tonight to see what I can do.
It's mid-May. Los Angeles Laker rookie point guard Irvin Magic Johnson stepped in to play center when starting center Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was too banged up to play in Game 6 of the
Obviously,
NBA Finals. The
I was
6'9"
too
Magic
young
would eventually play
to
every
like see
position
this
in
game
that
when it
game,
happened,
all
but
while
when I was
scoring
obsessed
42
with basketball
points,
in the
grabbing
90s.
15 boards and dishing out 7 assists, helping the Lakers win the NBA championship 4-2 over the Philadelphia 76ers.
What do you have that makes you perform like this in these championship games?
Well, I don't know. Just I love to win.
The city of Philadelphia would get some redemption later in the year. As far as Kareem goes, we'll see him in a minute. Them Duke boys were about as popular as a cat's tail in a room full of rocking chairs. Their show was the second highest rated show on television in 1980. Yep. Ah! We next land in...
So like back in the day when I was little, because the Dukes of Hazzard was on for fucking ever, it felt like. So I remember watching Dukes of Hazzard. And so like this guy, I forgot what I was going to say. Anyway, I like the Dukes of Hazzard. I'm pretty high right now. Oh yeah, Tom Wopat. Tom Wopat one time hurt his hand and he had to go to the emergency room that my mom worked at, and everybody said that he was like a total dick to everybody. Not like because he was in pain, he was just a total dick. So Tom Wopat, if you were a dick to my mom, that ain't cool. This was before HIPAA, so go fuck yourself. All right.
West in Skamania County, Washington, some 70 miles north of Portland, where on May
this is
18th,
sad.
Mount St. Helens erupted, making it the most disastrous volcanic eruption in U.S. history. Ash was blown as far as 10 miles up into the sky, which then fell back down and blanketed 11 U.S. states, killing crops,
Fucking
creating
wild,
road
man.
closures, as well as blackouts. Video games and pop culture can mark this point when Pac-Man was first released in Japan on May 22nd. Our little yellow buddy would go on to inspire merchandise, sequels, a Saturday morning cartoon, an NFL nickname, and of course, since it is the
good
80s,
as
a
hell
delicious and sugary Pac-Man breakfast cereal,
Pac-Man.
which was basically Kix but with marshmallows. Very clever. Flash forward 2 years to March 1982. We are Fever Pitch Pac-Man. The game is so popular, the song Pac-Man Fever made it all the way up to number 9 on the Billboard Hot 100 in March of 1982. The single sold over 1 million copies in 80.
I've got a fever, and the only prescription is more Pac-Man. No, seriously, I'm real fucking good at Pac-Man. Sorry, everybody. You won't beat me.
82 alone for a song about Pac-Man. The 80s. Weird times indeed. Late May of 1980 would feature some now iconic movies.
I am your father.
Good things happened in 1980.
June would be the birth of the 24/7 news cycle as CNN hit
things
the airwaves for
happened
the
in
first time.
1980.
Good evening, I'm David Walker.
And I'm Lois Hart. Now here's the news.
CNN's dominance of cable would spawn an array of sibling news channels, as well as competitors, and change our media landscape and the way we would consume news forever.
I have no intention of running for president.
Oh, such innocent times. CNN would have covered this legendary comic Richard Pryor, while freebasing drugs and drinking 151 proof rum, maybe accidentally set himself on fire. After running around the streets, literally in fuego, Pryor was subdued by police and rushed to...
So this was really sad. I do remember that, like, even a few years after this, I was old enough to remember people still making fun of him for this.
to the hospital. Flash forward 2 years on March 24th. Pryor would use this as material for his comedy concert film Live on the Sunset Strip.
I remember this one. It striped the match like this. What's that? Richard Pryor running down the street.
It would be the highest-grossing concert film for almost the entire decade. Almost. We'll see in a minute who upset JoJo Dancer.
It's 106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark.
And we're wearing
sunglasses. Hit it.
That might be true for thunderstorms, because on July 15th, one massive storm crushed western Wisconsin.
Emergency government officials have now finalized property damage estimates from the storm, and the figures are overwhelming.
Racking up for $250 million.
Yeah, okay. So, that was my birthday. I just feel like maybe that was, like, had something to do with me and the fact that I'm a Michigander, and, you know, the only way that could be better would have been if it was, like, Ohio that happened to. I'm sorry, that's mean. Okay, but to be fair, we did have, in 1980, we did have, like, some really bad tornadoes in, like, specifically this area, and, like, specifically, like, okay, I'm just telling you. I'm just saying. I'm not saying it's right or it's okay. I'm just saying that it's fucking funny. Not if anybody died, but, you know, I don't know.
In late September, it was a sad day for rock. Following a day where John Bonham, Led Zeppelin's Wonder drummer and notorious party animal, downed a reported 40 measures of vodka in 12 hours, the famed percussionist went and passed out, only to never wake up again. Bonham went on to play that great drum solo in the Cosmos, perishing from asphyxiation, from choking on his own vomit. Flash forward to 2 months later on December 4th, when surviving...
So, I just wanted to say, because I always have to talk about this, that John Bonham played the drums like his arms weighed 40 pounds apiece. It was incredible. The reason that their songs rock so fucking hard is because of the animal lack of restraint with which he attacked that fucking drum set. Sorry. I just really like music.
America's Dad Tom Hanks got his big chance on the sitcom Bosom Buddies, a show about two men dressing up like women in order to save money on rent. The biggest movie star and comedian of the 80s, a then 19-year-old Eddie Murphy, was featured on Saturday Night Live's Weekend Update for the first time. Eddie would quickly become a regular cast member the following year in 1981.
This turkey has the same amount of nutrition as a T-bone steak. But if you compare the two packages like I did, you'll see the steak fits under your clothes a whole lot easier.
In 1988, Eddie Murphy's Raw would go on to top Richard Pryor's Live on the Sunset Strip for highest...
Okay, so my my best friend when I was a kid, Holly Davenport, she almost died because we were watching the Buckwheat sketch about Buckwheat's greatest hits. And we were in her dad's, like, it's what we would now call a man cave. And it was a really cool fucking room. It had like a pizza oven and shit, and it had like a bar. Like, it was definitely like a place for like a dad to hang out with like expensive video like equipment. Like, they had fucking Laserdisc. But anyway, we were watching that fucking sketch about Buckwheat's greatest hits, and when it got to the one where he's singing and all it says for the title is just like question marks. And Holly started fucking choking on a pretzel. It was fucking hilarious, dude. Okay, but I mean, no, she was fine. Her sister Heimlicked her. If she had died, it wouldn't be funny, obviously. I would be traumatized. I wouldn't be telling this story if something bad happened to her. But Holly, I love you, but fuck you, bitch. I'm gonna laugh about that because cheese squirted up my nose from a cheese dog one time, and it made a blister, and you could not stop fucking laughing. So, fuck you. All right. You know I love you, Holly. Yeah, buddy.
I'm sorry, these aren't my working clothes.
No, it's not that. It's just that I was expecting something. I mean, someone.
This is the part where I'm going to show you a picture of the time that I went as Magnum PI for Halloween. And one person guessed that I was going as Captain Lou Albano. And then after my mustache glue failed, someone said, "Oh my God, you came as Nana Mary from Roseanne." So just so you know, this is my costume fail.
A little different.
It's December 12th, and California-based company Apple made its initial public offering on the U.S. stock market, which started trading at $22 a share.
I'm hungry.
You're dead, you're married. Leave the young girls for me.
There's no way I'm going down. I don't go down for nobody.
Listen, man, why does he have to make it so hard on himself?
And that's how 1980 ended. In with a smoking beetle, out with a raging bull. 1981 was just around the corner, and it would be a year filled with deadly events, high-profile marriages, and the emergence of the video game. But that's for next time.
Yeah, it is.
Good night, John Boy.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Jim Bob. Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.
So what do you think? What was your fondest memory of 1980? Let us know in the comments below, and while you're at
I
it...
didn't have any memories of 1980. I was born in July. Oh, I'm sure if I do some sort of like regression therapy, that for me was fun. Was it fun for you? If not, fuck it. I'm just trying to get by, everybody. I'm just trying to do things. So yeah, I'm going to do another one of these. Fuck it, I'll do one for 1981 as well, because this is fucking interesting, and I'm high as hell. And the extroverts went camping, so. I spill my weed. So anyway, like, subscribe, whatever bullshit, you know, people say at the end of these. And hopefully, I mean, and I'm just gonna go fucking roll like on a different file, but I'm like gonna fucking just keep rolling with this same setup. So if this one's fucked up, the next one will be too. You're welcome.